to you about YarnCon this past year and to share with you the different yarn goodness that I acquired to put into my stash this year. YarnCon is, for those of you that don't know, it is a fiber festival. Well, I say festival, I guess that's what it is. When I hear the word festival, I picture some part of it being outside, which it isn't. It's all indoors, but it is located in Chicago, just west of downtown, so it's right in the city. It's actually in Chicago, and it is held at the beginning of April every year, and this year was my, oh gosh, what year was this for me? I think this was my 5th year going, which is a little crazy. I have been going every single year since I moved to Chicago, and I moved in 2015, so 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yeah, it's 5 years for me. So this was my 5th YarnCon. I would say it was my best YarnCon to date as well. That's partially to do with just how the event has grown. It was partially to do with the people that I attended YarnCon with, the people I met there, the vendors that they had this year, and the organizers of the event do such a fabulous job. And YarnCon, I think especially this year, really kind of exploded. So just the way that they handle everything with such finesse is really, really nice. So I am not, FYI, using a microphone to record today. So if you hear any background noise, I apologize. Like I said, this was just really spur of the moment. I have been wanting to share with you my YarnCon purchases for about a month now. This is a little delayed. And so I knew if I took the time to set up the microphone and everything that I would just lose the motivation to record. So we're gonna proceed on. You are hopefully going to ignore any background noise that you might hear, and I just want to share with you what I purchased. So like I said, this year was really special because of some of the people that I attended YarnCon with. I went with a really good friend that I knit with on the weekends. She's actually a coworker of my husband's, and so it was really, really fun to attend with her. She and I went together. We didn't just meet up there. We went together. We stood in line together. YarnCon, they put together goodie bags for the first 50 people in the door. We arrived 2 hours early, and we were about number 65-ish in line, which was a little disappointing, but it's also just so fun to be one of the first few people in the door, regardless of whether you get a goodie bag. The first thing I want to share, though, is actually a mini skein. So this was from, oh my goodness, it is suddenly escaping me, and it's not written on here either, but one of the amazing yarn vendors. I will try and put their name here on the screen because I want to give them a shout out. They gave mini skeins to the next 100 people in the door. So number 51 to 150, they had 100 mini skeins that they had dyed up, and this is that beauty. So this was the mini skein that they created for YarnCon. I really hope that's focusing. I can't actually tell, and my apologies if it is not. But every year they dye specifically a colorway for YarnCon, and this is just a mini skein of that colorway. So it's always themed based on actually the colors for YarnCon, which, being in Chicago, are the colors for the Chicago flag. So kind of a lighter blue with red and white. And so this is a great kind of aqua blue colored skein, and then some bits of white that are showing through, just a little variegated with the blue, and then with some kind of gory, actually, dark red speckles mixed in. So it was so sweet. You know, it was not in vain that we waited in line, and we were really happy, my friends and I, to receive this. So this was the very first thing that went into my bag and no plans yet of what I'm going to do with it, whether I'm going to use it in a project or just put it into my scrappy blanket. But either way, it's a sweet addition into my stash. So once we actually got inside, and I'm actually remembering now something that I forgot to bring over, which I will grab when I need to. But once we actually got inside, the yarn chaos ensued. It was the most crowded I've ever seen it be at YarnCon, which is so great. It was hot in there, to say the least. But the vendors that they had this year, some new, some that I've seen there every year, it was just such a great variety. The very first thing that I purchased was this beautiful skein of sock yarn with a coordinating mini to go with it for heels, cuff, and toes if I so choose. Usually my MO when I am at YarnCon is I always take a lap. I go to every single booth and then I go back to purchase anything. As soon as I walked into this booth, I saw this skein of yarn, the blue, and I immediately picked it up and was purchasing it right then and there. So this is from Apothefaery Fabrications, who is a wonderful, fairly local dyer that is there every year. This is the first time I have purchased from her though. And this is her 100% merino middle of the road sock base. And you know what? I don't actually know the colorway. It's not written on here, and that's okay. Maybe I'll reach out to her and ask. But it's just this most beautiful blue. As you can see from the one end, it goes from a really, really dark, almost navy, and moves to a lighter bluey gray almost, and then has gorgeous speckles of oranges and golds and a little bit of purple as well. And then the coordinating mini really plays with those gold and orange speckles by just being this great kind of rusty orange. And you're gonna see a trend where I was really drawn to orange yarn this year. I'm not an orange yarn person. I don't really find myself drawn to orange, but this year I really, really was. So this was the first thing that I picked up. I do not have a sock project in mind at the moment, but this is definitely going to be a pair of socks. And I'm actually hoping that maybe this will be a pair of design socks for some pattern that I will dream up down the road based on this gorgeous yarn. So I love it. Like I said, Apothefaery Fabrications or Apothefaery Fibers in this beautiful unknown colorway, but I will do my best to figure out what it is. So after that impulse purchase, which I have zero regrets for, some of the other fiber that I picked up, first time that they have been at YarnCon was Blackcat Fibers, and they had a beautiful booth. They had a very large booth as well, which was great to display all of the yarn that they had. They also had some really, really gorgeous shawls that they had on display. And as soon as I walked into their booth, I knew it was one that I was going to be going back to. I hadn't picked out specific colorways in mind the first time I was in that booth when I was doing my walkthrough, but I knew I was going back because I had to get something. So the first skein that I picked up was this absolutely delicious gorgeousness. It is, again, kind of in the orange family. At least it has, I mean that in the sense that it has these great kind of burnt orangey reds in it, but it is so complex. It also has some greens and some browns and some of this blue that I think is really reminiscent of the blue in my skein of sock yarn from Apothefaery. Oh, but I love this so much. This is the Nomad sock base, which is a 4-ply fingering, 75-25 merino and nylon. and this is the Burl colorway, B-U-R-L. And I love it. It had to come home with me. It's very autumnal, but like I said, I was just drawn to these orangey colors, and I love it. Love it to pieces, and I also have plans for this, which I'll talk about in a minute. Also from Blackcat Fibers was this baby, and it is so bright, it's getting a little blown out on the screen, but you can see it is this fluorescent, hot pink, highlighter orange fabulousness. And it has some amazing black speckles in there as well. I, again, was drawn to orange. I've said that about 18 times already, and I don't know what exactly this is going to be. I have zero plans for this yarn. This is the only yarn that I purchased that I don't have plans for. But I picked it up, and when I saw the name of it, that's what sealed the deal for me. So this is called The Floor is Lava. And it is so reminiscent of my childhood, and I think it's also the perfect name for this colorway, because this is lava in a skein. Love it. I love it to pieces. Don't have plans for it yet. Maybe it will be a really fun pop in a top, or it might be just a really crazy pair of socks, or I might try to incorporate it into a really fun shawl. It has so much potential, and for now I'm just gonna look at it and stare at it longingly and wait until it tells me what it wants to be. So that was Blackcat Fibers. I could have spent all of my money there, to be perfectly honest. I really, really hope that they are going to be a vendor for years to come, because just look at these. They are so beautiful. I especially can't wait to get Burl kind of unwrapped and unskeined so I can lay it out and really look at all these colors, because I'm sure you can't even see them all. And I'm sure this lighting is not doing them justice. But I'm obsessed. I love them to pieces. These make my heart really happy. So my very last purchase came from Fiber Story, which again is a dyer that I don't think have ever been at YarnCon before, which was really exciting. I always love seeing new talent there, so to speak, new vendors to share their gifts with us. And I bought 2 skeins of this yarn that I'm about to show you. And while I was there, my friend specifically was looking for yarn so that she can knit, and I'm gonna potentially mess up the name of this top, but the Maretimo top by Caitlin Hunter of Boylan Knitworks. It is the second top that she has in her Italy series, and I know actually the third in the series just came out, and I want to knit that as well. But my friend was looking for yarn for that top, found some of the yarn that she wants to use at Blackcat Fibers, coincidentally, and the more she was looking at yarn for this project, the more I also wanted to knit it. So I came away with these 2 skeins, and I don't think the camera is really going to be able to do it justice, but overall it is a cream base with these brownie mauve rose speckles throughout. Yeah, there's just some browns, there's kind of these dusty rose pink speckles, slightly purple, slightly golden, and it's beautiful. So this colorway is called Willow, and it is going to be the main color for a future Maretimo for myself. And if you are wondering what my contrast color 1 is going to be, it's going to be this skein Burl from Blackcat Fibers. This was not planned, actually. I picked these two out as that main color, came home, was looking at the yarn a couple days later, and it dawned on me that this is the perfect pop to go with Willow, these two skeins. It is so perfect. The colors in this Blackcat Fibers skein pick up perfectly the speckles. I am so excited. However, I've told myself I can't cast it on until I finish my Tanya. The other top in the Italy series by Caitlin Hunter. It is a languishing whip for me. I cast it on last summer and I love it, but I just haven't picked it up. There's been so many other projects that have been drawing my attention away. So I've told myself I have to finish my Tanya and then I can cast on for the Maretimo. There is a second contrast color that I need. Not very much yardage, it's only about maybe 100 yards that I would need, maybe even less than that. So not much of a skein, less than a fourth really. And I have not yet picked it out. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go through my bits and ends. I don't really want to break into a whole skein of yarn for that second contrast color because it uses so little. I would really love to find something in my scraps that would work. So I feel like an orange would be so perfect, but I don't really have any orange leftovers in my stash because this is really the first time I've been drawn to orange yarn. So nothing there, but maybe some blues to pick up the blue in this skein of Burl. I don't know. I'm gonna have to lay some things out and play around with it. I have time to do so, so I'm not concerned about that. But before I wrap things up, let me finish telling you about this skein from Fiber Story, which has just the cutest tag. So this is from Fiber Story. Like I said, this colorway is Willow. This is the Fave sock base, and it is 100% superwash merino. It's 400 yards in a skein, and hand-dyed in Michigan. So fairly local to Chicago, which is just what I love about YarnCon. It gives me a chance to find new, mostly local dyers and partake in their talents. So I have one last thing to share with you really quickly. I had to jump off screen to grab it. And it is not yarn. Usually all I buy at YarnCon is yarn. However, this year a project bag jumped out and spoke to me and I had to get it. So I present this amazing, if it will focus, I think it did, project bag from Darn Yarn, Minnesota. You can see their little label there. And it is this amazing pink dinosaur goodness. But this fabric makes me so incredibly happy and I had to get it. I don't know what it was about it. Well, that's not true. Just the cuteness of the fabric, the pink, the dinosaurs, it had to come home. I also love two things about the bag. I love the shape. So the bottom kind of pops out nicely, has some really amazing structure to it, and then you can see it has a clear window. So when you, grabbing a skein really quickly, when you have a skein of yarn in it or your project, you can have it in the bag and you can see what it is exactly that you're working on. This is my last purchase. It was the very last thing that I grabbed. And I have absolutely no regret. So that'll wrap up everything for me. Got a little disjointed at the end because my camera died a few times, but thank you for coming along with me while I talked about my YarnCon stash acquisitions. I'll talk to you later. Bye.